Sunday. I hope everyone has had an awesome week. As you know, we do this every Sunday, unless I send a message and say that we're not. But most of the time, we are on here and we are having conversation with the Martin girl. That's me. So, last week, I think we talked about are you doing the work? That was one of the things that we left with on last Sunday. Asking yourself, are you doing the work? And challenging yourself to move forward in this past week to do things that you set out to do. So, making a plan and executing. Also, doing the work on yourself, emotionally, physically, mentally, however that you need to, whatever you need to do to improve yourself. Those are some of the things that we talked about on last week. I cannot come on this week and not at least address some of the things that have been in the headlines that has been very bothersome to me. One of them, I am glad that they have found Coach Gary Jones's body. That was a story I had been following in Atlanta, Georgia. Apparently, him and a Joycelyn, I think her last name was Smith, or well, I'm not sure, but Joycelyn, and he went out on Lake Oconee in Georgia, and that was over a month ago. Some way, somehow, both bodies were found in the water. She was found first. Air was still in her lungs. Cell phone was still in hand. So we really don't know what happened. Then there was a search for Coach Gary Jones for a very long time, and everybody had speculations that it was some foul play. Maybe he had killed her, did something to have foul play, did something with her. But comes to find out, is that's not true. Right now, we know that his body has been discovered. I'm glad his family did solicit extra help from an expert out of Wisconsin. And I think he didn't even charge them for coming and doing the search. But what's very strange to me is he was able to recover this body in 24 hours. Mind you, the authorities had been searching for him for a month up there. So it's just very puzzling to me that this expert came and he was able to find this body within 24 hours. Um, I'm just glad that the family can have some closure there. I pray that they will find out more details and be able to understand what really truly happened to them on that lake that day. Another case that I've been following in the news that's been very concerning is Caleb Wilson. That's Caleb Wilson. He was the student at Southern University in Louisiana in Baton Rouge. He was part of the Human Jukebox band there at Southern University. He was pledging Omega Psi Phi at that university. And this is the season where that goes on in college, in case there's some listening that don't really understand, what goes on. Usually, and when the spring comes, lines start. When we say lines, those are individuals that have been picked to join a fraternity or sorority, and they go through the intake process. And traditionally, which is an embarrassment and awful, there are some lines that are taken over that cause a lot of damage and a lot of harm to a lot of people, a lot of hazing going on. That's not often spoke about, but it does go on. And that's part of the process that they have initiated in their process. It's not the traditional process. This is something extra that people have formulated themselves. And it's kind of repetitive. So if it happened to them, it's going to happen to somebody else, and they just keep doing it. And unfortunately, one person has been charged, and that is, I think his name was Caleb. I wrote his name down. Caleb McCray. He was 23 years old. Apparently, he had already graduated from Southern. He came back. I'm assuming he came back for what they call Hell Night. And yeah, the unfortunate happened for both of them. The unfortunate happened for both of them. So I pray for both of their families, because I do not think that Mr. McCray went there with the intent to kill or harm anyone in that manner. And it just got way out of hand, and all those that were involved are just in a very, very bad situation right now. And I just pray for all of them. Aside from that, it is the 60th year of Bloody Sunday in Selma, Alabama. It was on the 7th, I think it was on Friday. And there has been all kinds of activities and marches and whatnot going on for this celebration of a Bloody Sunday in Selma, Alabama. And you should know that Bloody Sunday arose after, I think it was Jimmy, what was his last name? I think I wrote it down. Jimmy Lee Jackson was shot and killed in the stomach by a police officer after being in a peaceful march. It was an uproar. Like 600 people came together and was trying to march, be peaceful about it. this occurrence happened because they were gathering about, of course, getting voting rights, and he was a part of that. He was shot, so they decided to march to the Capitol in order to speak with the Governor Wallace at the time to talk about number one, the police officer being persecuted for what he did, and number two, of course, these voting rights. And in the process of doing this march, they were attacked. Two individuals murdered. They were two white individuals. One was a social worker, and another was a white lady that was transporting and helping out. I do not recall their names off the top of my head. I think John Reed may have been one of the ones, but I can't remember the lady's name. But anyway, that's what happened, and it sparked this whole process. Had it not been for what happened on Bloody Sunday being televised, and people being able to see what was happening in the South in the fight for civil rights, I don't think things would have played out the way that it did. After seeing priests and nuns being beaten, clubbed, people being beaten, clubbed, ran over, dogs, hose, water hoses, all this stuff going on television. It was televised. People saw it. Hey, we got to get the feds down there. We got to stop this. And that helped set the platform for them to go ahead and realize that, hey, we do need to initiate civil rights and do something about that. So that's a little history, a little information in a nutshell. But on a lighter note, like I said, we started last week. We talked about how to challenge yourself to do the work, to do the stuff mentally as well as physically that you need to do to become who it is that you desire to be in this life. And that's some self work that we need to do for ourselves. And it takes a lot of work to do that. It's not something that happens overnight. We have to pull back these layers and discover what it is that may be stopping us, hindering us. Sometimes negative self talk. Sometimes it's negative people in your environment. Sometimes it's just not this season for you to be in where you want to be. So we have to will ourselves to that space, right? So willing yourself to that space requires some work, and that work can be hard, it can be difficult, but you have to learn how to set those things in stone that you're going to work eagerly towards to accomplish your goal. I had the privilege to speak with Coach Lee on yesterday. We recorded a podcast. She is a coach of productivity and accountability. She is also a criminal attorney. It was very fun speaking with her, very interesting. And we talked about procrastination. We talked about being accountable. We talked about holding ourselves accountable so that we can see productivity increase in our lives. We can get more things done if we set these schedules. If we, say this is what we're going to do, get it, whether it was rising up earlier in the morning to get things accomplished, or whether it was staying a little later, whatever it took to get things completed. And I think the gist of that conversation was discipline, understanding what your limits are, and also not putting so much on your plate, breaking these things down. And you guys have heard me many times on here talk about how do you eat an elephant one bite at a time. So breaking things down. If you're not able to accomplish it this week, let's look at next week. You can also look at it in small measures. If I couldn't do it today, then I'll take care of it to the next day, because life is going to happen, right? We can set our plan for the whole week, and one thing can happen, can throw the whole thing off. And we have to learn how to forgive ourselves in this aspect and keep working towards what it is that we want to do. So I ask you, what have you done this week that has been an accomplishment for you? I'll go first, and you can drop comments in the screen as you like. But I go first. I set a goal this week to make sure I set up my podcast guests, sent out emails, make sure I followed up, created the questions, sent them out. I was able to accomplish all that this week. So I was very happy about that, because that was something I had been starting to like procrastinate and not get done. So that was a goal that I set, and it did carry out. So that was a good thing, right? We have to celebrate those small wins. And you guys can drop in here whatever your goal may have been for the week that you took care of, that you were able to play it out. Changing gears, let's talk about purpose. Let's talk about your purpose. We are all designed, we are all designed with talents and gifts. And this is something I preach about all the time. I talk about this all the time. And understanding what your purpose is helps you understand where your talent and your gift fits in this life, right? So a lot of people may say, well, I don't know what my purpose is. I don't know, what I'm supposed to be doing. And, to find that, you have to find out inside yourself what brings you joy, what brings you peace, what brings you comfort, what comes naturally. Those talents, those gifts that you have, that you do so naturally, and you see the benefits of that. That is, sometimes what defines your purpose, that defines your purpose. We don't always have to be, saying, well, I don't have any talents and gifts. If you're working on a job, and you're committed to that job, you're committed to what you're doing daily, you're helping people, you're engaging with people, that can very much so be what your gift or your purpose is. Or your purpose could be something totally different. Your purpose could be to lead a march. It could be to, start another process at work or in the community that's going to uplift and, take the community to another level. Whatever that is, I think we should focus in on defining our purpose. For many years, I did these conferences each year. And in those conferences, I would talk about, of course, your purpose, walking in your truth. What was the other one? The Live Your Life Out Loud, all those different topics that we talked about. But the whole basis of it was purpose. And in the purpose, I wanted to make sure women were seen. I wanted to make sure women were seen. I wanted them to understand and know their worth and understand that the ordinary woman was worthy of the love, the attention, the give back, all of that we were giving them in this conference setting. And it was empowering. It was empowering in such that people, it started to grow. Yearly, it got bigger and bigger. And those that's been with me from the beginning know that we started out in a small building, and it may have been, I think the first conference may have been about maybe 30 people, I'm not sure. That was still good for a first one, but it just continued to escalate and grow and grow. And then we brought in gospel artists and, all this stuff. And it was great. It was great. But the purpose of all of that was to help others define what their gifts and talents were. So many businesses were birthed out of Martin Girl movement. So many people were able to define and walk in their truth because of Martin Girl movement. I am forever grateful and thankful for that. I really am. And I started that not knowing what I was doing. And I remember praying and asking God to show me, what my talents and gifts were. And I realized and I understood that it was organization, it was packaging, and it was delivering. And I didn't know what that meant, but I could organize really good. And I organized these things. And then I was able to package it together, from the floral arrangements, from, the stuff that was there, the program, the layout, all that stuff. And then I was able to deliver it in such a beautiful space in a beautiful moment with people with empowering words that it was just powerful for those that attended. And I'm, like I said, I'm forever grateful for that. I'm forever grateful for that. But I say that to say, that's what I mean when I say defining your purpose. We are all created to do something here on earth, and it's magnificent in its own self. We don't have to add to it, we don't have to take away from it. But we have to know what it is, and we have to chase after that thing. We have to chase after. You can hear or feel certain things in your spirit that lets you know, hey, this is it. This is what I should be doing. This is, where I need to go. And sometimes we drown out that with the noises and the distractions of everything that goes on in our life. And we try not to think about it. We say, well, not me. I can't do that. Who am I? But I want you to have the audacity. I want you to have the audacity to dream big. I want you to have the audacity to say, yes, I can. I want you to be bold enough this year to be in your purpose, whatever that looks like for you. So when I say bold enough, I mean, I want you to be bold enough to send that email. I want you to be bold enough to ask for that contract. I want you to be bold enough to make those connections. I want you to have the audacity to think that you deserve it. I want you to have the audacity to know that it's coming for you. I want you to be bold and have the audacity to seize everything that God has for you. Because what's for you is for you. It's for you. I remember seeing this analogy of a person that was moving through like life, right? And it was kind of like an assembly line. And so things would be dropped on them, dropped on them, dropped on them. And so it was like packages, this is a gift, this is a gift. And as that assembly line was going and these gifts was going, this person started getting distracted by so many things that they were getting as gifts, right? And so as they would turn their attention to something else, those blessings or those gifts would just fall down and they wouldn't get them. I say that to say, keep your eyes on the prize. I say that to say, keep your eyes on God. Keep your eyes on Jesus. Ask God to help and direct your path. You want to capture everything that God has for you. I know I do. I want everything that He has for me. And it's so easy to get distracted when we are trying to define our purpose or walk in our purpose. And it's easy to give up because it's a challenge. I've talked to entrepreneurs, and that's one of the things I ask, what kept you going? What kept you motivated when the bills were due, when you was broke, when you didn't know the answers to the questions, when you felt fearful to even ask someone to be on a panel or to come and join you or petition or promote your product? What kept you going? And purpose. It's always purpose. And it's a journey. It's a long journey that not a lot of people can go on that journey. A lot of people not equipped for that, but you can be. It's not that you can't. You can be, but you got to be disciplined. I told you, I talked to Coach Lee about the other day. You have to be disciplined. You have to be accountable. You have to be able to say, these are the things that I'm going to do to get to where I want to go in life. And if it takes eliminating certain circles of people, if it takes eliminating a job that's not fulfilling to me, if it takes cutting off, ties with relationship, business relationships with people, then hey, that's what I got to do. And it hurts so bad. It hurts so bad sometimes. I like that. You resonate with this so much. Yeah, I hate that because we want to take everybody with us. We want to keep using the resources and the things that we're used to. We want to keep falling in that trap because we get very comfortable with that. And we are creatures by nature. We're humans by nature, and we will have repetition. So we're going to go to what's familiar to us. Well, I'm going to use so-and-so. That I worked with them before, and we did this, and we accomplished that, and it's great. It's good. It's wonderful. But guess what? You got to raise the bar a little bit higher. You got to keep going higher and higher and higher. And that's what I loved about starting out with Martin Girl. I didn't know where it was going. I had no money. If you listen to the podcast, you already know. And if you know me, you already know, but you're finna get it again. I had no money. I had two babies. I was in a new city. I knew absolutely no one. I was trying to figure out what was my life, because it was just get up, take the kids to daycare, work out, go home, sleep, get up, do the same over and over. And I was praying and asking God, what, do you want me to do? And the Spirit told me to gather these women together. I want you to empower them. Who? Me? Huh? What? Do y'all have this conversation with God? That's how we talk to each other. Okay. So I was like, who? Me? Huh? Yeah. Gather them together and honor them. Pour into them. It's people that's living just like you every day. They're wearing a mask or, trying to make it through the day or just secretly drowning. Some people out there secretly drowning and they don't have an outlet. They don't understand. They don't know what to do. I want you to gather those women together. Start small. Go there. Do this. And I followed those instructions. I remember going to Georgia. I was driving from Alabama. I drove to Georgia. I had no money. And I was going home to visit my family and to make these appointments. I had set up these appointments, y'all, with people, and you would have thought I had some big money. So I was out there talking to the people, looking at venues, picking out live floral arrangements. Oh, I'm just talking. They tell me, yeah, you got to get us deposit by such and such. I said, okay, yeah, I'm going to give it, send me an invoice. I'm going to take care of it. This, my baby sister was with me, witnessing all of this, and I was just walking in faith. By the time I left that weekend, those deposits was paid. So when you have purpose, when you have purpose and you have faith and you have discipline, even when it don't make sense to you, it always works out. It's going to be favorable. It's going to overflow. And that's what it did. It did. And so it grew from there. We started out small, and every year it got bigger and bigger and bigger. And then when I got a contract with the Department of Health and Human Services, I was like, whoa, for this AIDS research and outreach and all this wonderful stuff. And that season of my life, I always think back on it because I remember what I was able to accomplish by being obedient and hearing from the Lord and what I needed to do. And then pouring into those women and then coming back and letting them tell me their stories about what their takeaways were and how they grew their businesses from that, how they started businesses from that. Some even started some conferences in there. It was just seeds that was kind of like just sprinkled out from that. And it was just wonderful. It was wonderful. And like I said, whenever I think that I can't do something, I go back to those memories. And I think about that because for that season, I was doing it. I was walking in it. I was doing my purpose. And now the Lord has moved me to this platform here, and you all know the story that I did not want to be on live. I didn't want to be on podcasts. I didn't want to be doing any of that stuff. But I was obedient finally, and I did it. And I'm able to reach the masses, this way. I'm able to touch people in a bigger way, in a bigger platform, and it has yielded a lot of opportunities. I'm very humble in everything that I do. I don't do what I do for the thought process of I want to get so many likes or I want to get so many followers, or my listeners are my listeners, and we are people. We are a tribe of people that live real life, real time. And we're just wanting something and someone to encourage us along the way to be our best selves. It's not about all the other stuff. It's not. It's about living this life and playing it out the way it's orchestrated for us, that God has orchestrated for us to be, right? So, that's, where I am right now. And I welcome anything else that God has for me. And, and like I said, we talk like that. Me and God talk like that. We say, well, what you want me to do? Waking up in the middle of the night for the last like week or so. I have been waking up at like 3:45 in the morning. I'm like, what? And I hear God's voice say, go pray. And I'm like, really? I'm sleepy. I don't want to go. But, I go and I pray and I get so much clarity. I get so much hope. I get so much peace. And I say that and I share this, and I don't even know why I'm being this transparent. I usually am, but, talking about this prayer life and all, but I don't know, maybe someone is listening and they experience that. Those waking in hours like that is not, it's not by mistake. That's the Lord speaking to you. That's the Lord speaking to you to go, to pray, to seek him, to get direction for him, to get clarity. And those are the things that I find in those wee hours of the morning. And I return back to my bed and I feel fulfilled, and I go back to sleep and I wake back up in the morning and of course I'm praying again. I pray always. But I've noticed that there has been a pattern that's been going on. And that in that moment is when I get the clearest, ideas, the thoughts, the prayers, that whole intimacy with Christ, and we need that in a world that's so full of distractions. In this world where it's so much going on that we don't know which way we're going, it's people out there that are afraid to go to work tomorrow because they don't know if that's going to be their last day. I pray for them. It's people out there that are trying to make ends meet and they don't know what's going to happen next. And it's people out there that have had a comfy cushion for so long and they're waiting on the next break because they don't know when it's going to run out, if that makes sense. But it's everyone out there with different things going on in their lives. But one thing that can be steady and consistent in this rocky world is your faith. Your faith and working diligently in your purpose and walking in your truth is what will continue to carry you in this life. I hope that this has been very empowering for you. I usually get on here and I do this talk, and I get all this feedback. It's always wonderful. I love all the feedback that you guys give me. The inboxes, I try to hit everybody back as I can, and I speak with them and I try to encourage them because you're encouraging me. And I just want you to stay motivated. This week, I'm going to charge you with the same thing I said last week. Are you doing the work? Are you doing the work to be your best self? Are you doing the work to live your life out loud? Are you doing the work to accomplish what it is you in life? If it's a goal you have, if it's, to pass that exam, are you doing the work? If it's to get a raise on your job, are you doing the work? If it's to accomplish a business, to get your business off on the ground, are you doing the work? And many of us are. And if you're doing the work and you're being prayerful and you're being diligently, you're going to see the results of your labor. You are. You are a testament to people that you don't even know. You are a testament to people that you do not even know. And a lot of times we feel like we're not seen, but you are. You're seen. And the important place that you need to be seen is in Christ, because if he sees you, he can open all kind of doors. He can open doors that cannot be shut, and he can also shut doors that can't be opened. I hope again that you have enjoyed this conversation with me today. I always try to keep it short and simple. I want you to get out there, have a awesome work week. I want you to think about the things we talked about today. Play the playback, share it with someone, tell a friend to tell a friend to tell a friend to tune in on Sunday nights so we have conversation. We talk about all the things, all the things. Again, I want to shout out Coach Lee. We had an awesome conversation on yesterday. I have really been enjoying these podcast conversations that we got for season 2 that's going on. You all just don't know. I have enjoyed this, and I incorporated video. You guys remember I talked about trying to do the video. So I incorporated video with it, and it has just been very comfortable. It's been very raw. It's been very good. And I think you guys will really, really love it. If you haven't subscribed, subscribe to my podcast, Conversation with the Modern Girl. Season 2 will be uploaded next month. If you also follow me on YouTube, Conversation with the Modern Girl, there are some clips there from some previous videos that I've done that you can take a look at. Again, you have a blessed week. Thank you for your time. Thank you for your love and your support. Let me know how I can support you. And I look forward to seeing you again next Sunday. Thank you so much.